Hi everybody, it's Crystal. Welcome to my channel. So today I have a yarn review for you. It's a yarn review I was pretty excited to do because it was a yarn that kind of it was interesting to me, so to speak. So we're going to be doing a review on a new yarn. Today is 8/31/2023 and it is the Bernat Felted. When I first saw this I got this at Michael's online. I first saw it like this in ball form, you know, the picture, and I'm like, man, that looks cool, you know, because, you know, it just looked cool. And then I zoomed in on it and I'm like, oh my gosh, that looks like a nightmare. So I purchased it because you don't really know until you get it. And then when I looked at it in person, I'm like, that could be really cool, or that could be a horror flick. It really could go either way. So I crocheted with it and I knitted with it and I washed it and dried it and did all the stuff that Bagoday crochet does. So I do have a final thought on it. But first off, do know that my reviews are opinion based. They're not factual information. The only factual information I give you is what I read to you on the label. So it's all opinions. And my opinion can be different. Actually, everybody's opinions are different all the time, especially on a yarn like this. This is going to be a love it or hate it type of yarn. It's not going to be a yarn for everybody, but it's going to be a yarn that some people really, really like. But so overall, I'm just going to tell you my thoughts on it, and then you can take it from there. You know, I always recommend, if it kind of interests you, to just get one ball and try it out, see how it goes. You might love it, you might hate it. You know, I'd hate for you to go buy a bunch, you know, or not buy any based on my review. So you don't want to be missing out on something. So that's why I always recommend just one ball. Anyways, so the Bernat Felted, purchased online at Michael's. I do believe it's in store as well. Made by Yarn Inspirations. So why don't we go ahead and read a little bit about it here. I'll read a little bit about it. Now they're classifying this as a bulky 6-weight yarn. There you go. You make your judgment on that. I think so. I'll agree with them on that. Now they recommend a knitting needle size of an 8mm and a crochet hook size of an 8mm. It says it's machine washable and dryable. It's 62 acrylic, 21 wool, 17 nylon. And that's the fiber content. It's 9.2 ounces, 249 yards, 260 grams, or 228 meters. So that's 9.2 ounces, or I'm sorry, 249 yards of a 6 weight. Now I do think maybe it's on the thinner side of a 6. I don't know. I guess if you account for that fluffiness of it. And this one has flex in it, as you can see. And then they have some that is plain. I don't have any, but I thought that I did, but I don't. Anyway, so they do carry solid colors, and then this one is the flecked color. Now, my biggest concern with this when I saw it was not that it feels fine, you know, like I would wear a scarf with it. It wouldn't bother me. So on the softness scale, you know, it's just average, you know. It's not the softest yarn I ever felt. It's not definitely not the worst yarn I've ever felt. I give it an average rating as far as softness go. It's good enough to wear a scarf out of, and it's, you know, I would wear if I was to wear sweaters without shirts underneath it, I would do it with this yarn. But yeah, it wouldn't bother me to wear it against my skin. So if that gives you any indication on softness factor. Now when you look at it up close, you see it's really, really funky and fuzzy. Fuzzy and funky. So it's got, it's fuzzed out, you know, like halo style. It's a very, very interesting yarn. Actually, I was quite excited to crochet with it to see if I would like it or not, you know. And you can see it has a strand running through it that has different little fleck colors on it. The color I have here is called Amber Flecked. Very, very pretty name and very appropriate. So let's see how much this costs at Michael's. $12.99. That's on a regular basis. It's $12.99. But at the making of the video, Michael's has a 30% off coupon, and they always have sales. So $12.99 though is what we'll base it on a regular price. Now that is quite a bit of yardage for a 6-weight, 249 yards. It's a big bowl of a 6-weight yarn, I guess. So do you guys want to see what it looks like crochet, knitted, and washed and dried? Yeah? Okay. I'm going to take you somewhere where there's more lights so we can look at it closely. Alright, so first off, we'll look at the knitting sample. So I ran this through my knitting machine, and I knew that it probably would not fare well with a knitting machine. And as I suspected, it did not. I did get a little bit out of it before it broke the needle on my knitting machine. Now that is not the yarn's fault. The knitting machine is not made for a 6-weight yarn. But I always press the limits. Especially for a yarn review, you know, I had to get a little bit of what it looked like knitted. So I got a little bit out of it, and then it snapped my needle. But remember, that is not the yarn's fault. It was not meant for a knitting machine. So this is kind of what it looks like knitted up. I actually think it's very pretty, the way it looks. It's cool. To me, it is, the way it looks. Okay, so that's a knitted sample. And then I did a crochet with a recommended hook size of the 8mm. I did a little swatch here, so I did some bobbles so we could see what, you know, it would look like as far as if you wanted to add some texture to your project, if it would be noticeable. And I find the bobbles to be, you know, fairly visible there. I think if you made something with this, added cables or bobbles, I don't think you would be wasting your time, because as you can see, you can see them. Now, a true test, I think, is going to be how well, if you make a mistake, is this going to be the nightmare that you're hoping that it's not? Like, if you make a mistake, is it going to come undone, or are you just going to have to, like, you know, the bobbles are going to be the true test. If these bobbles come undone, clean. You guys want to see? But before I do that, I'm going to show you the wash and dry sample I did. I did the exact same thing for a wash and dry sample, so we could see, compare size and everything like that. So this one I made the exact same way, and I washed and dried as per instructions on the label. And here it is. So what can I tell you in the difference between this one, which has not been washed or dried, and the one that has been washed or dried? Well, when I lay them on top of each other, they don't appear, let me look here. Now, it appears that it might have just shrunk a tiny bit, like very, very little. Okay, that's one thing I can tell, but probably not enough to even notice, okay? Another thing that I can tell right off the bat, which you might not be able to tell on camera, but I can really quite visibly tell it by looking at it, it got lighter in color. I have no idea why, but this is actually more gold, the one that has not been washed. This one got lighter. I think the white fuzziness of it kind of really came out, because now when I put my hands across it, now it doesn't feel bad, but it feels like it has been felted a little bit. I don't know how really to explain it. So when we look at them up close here, this one has not been washed or dried. This one was washed and dried as per instructions. Now, although this one still is a soft, you know, an all right soft yarn, the one that was not washed or dried is softer. And I use fabric softener on this as well. Dryer sheet actually. And I dried it as per instructions, you know, just like it said. And I don't think that it came out of the dryer bad, but the bobbles feel like, yeah, a little like scratchier or feltier. I just like, it feels like the amount of wool that was in it, what was it, 30% or something? No, 21%. Like it just kind of scooshed the white fuzzies hanging on. It's hard to explain, I guess, in a video. You see these, all this stuff hanging off of it, the white stuff. It feels like those kind of just, maybe in the dryer or something. And I dried it on low heat. Maybe they just kind of shrunk up. It's kind of what it feels like to me. It's a little rougher than the one that wasn't. And like I said, it's a little lighter. Not much, not extremely visible. But it is visible. It has to do with these white fuzzies, I think, on it. They just kind of took over in the washer or the drying process, and you know, fuzzed it up and kind of shrunk to the piece. And now it's just not quite as soft as it was. It's not quite as vibrant in color. I mean, like I said, it's minimal, but it's noticeable, and it's a little smaller, very minimal as well. So I do think it looks better before it was washed versus after. So if you did buy this yarn, I would not go by the recommendations on the label myself. I would probably hand wash it and lay flat. Otherwise, you are going to notice that these feel scratchier than these. Feel a lot not so scratchy. I don't know what happened, but something happened. It's almost like it felt it a bit in the washer, but you know, it's not the same as it was going in as when it came out. So you've seen how it looked at knit. You've seen it washed and dried as per instructions. Now the true test is it going to come out? That's what really kind of matters to me sometimes. Is it going to come out? Well, we're going to find out right now. Like I said, those bobbles are going to be the true test. So far, so good. But let's not jinx it, huh? Oh my goodness. Did I expect this? Not in a million years would I expected this. I really thought this was going to give me all sorts of trouble. Look at this. Not one time has it hung up. Not one time yet. I'm going to go the whole way. I'm going a full way. If it makes it to the end, I'm going to do a backflip. No, I'm not. I'm just kidding. I'll break my neck. But I'm going to do nothing. I'm just going to be happy that it made it to the end without... this is... I don't know. This is like super unbelievable that this is not snagging on itself. That is amazing, actually. That's super. Oh my gosh, I can't believe it's almost done with the second row of bobbles. It didn't catch. I just dropped it. It's going to go the whole way. It's not going to catch at all. All that 2 rows of bobbles and all that crochet, it did not catch on itself one time. There it is. Oh my gosh, this fuzzy pile of felted looking yarn that I thought would just be a nightmare. I was, you know, I was thinking there's like a 90% chance it's going to hang up on itself. I'll give you 10% chance that you won't. Made it all the way through that and it didn't snag on itself once. Oh my gosh. All right, so you saw it knitted, you saw it crocheted, you saw it washed, and you saw it dried. I'm like in awe that it didn't hang up on itself. I guess I did not give it enough credit because this seems like a type of yarn that you wouldn't want to deal with, you know, if you made a mistake. But You seen mine came all the way out. Not one time did it hang up on itself. Not one time. You've seen it with your own eyes. Now, I'm not saying it's going to be like that for everybody, but that's the way it did work out for me. You know, I had some bobbles there too, and those usually tend to get hung up, especially on yarns like this. So, well, Bernat felted. My, you did not turn out to be a nightmare after all. Are you a dream? No. But you are an interesting yarn. I think with the right project, it would be really cool. Like, I think a blanket would be super spectacular. Like I said, you've seen how the bobbles showed up quite nicely. I think a cable blanket would look amazing, and I think it'd be nice and comfy. I think it would make a nice sweatshirt or something like that, or a cardigan. I think that, I mean, I like it myself. But remember, this isn't going to be something for everybody, because not everybody likes this type of yarn. Was it hard to crochet with? No, not at all. I was actually very surprised that it crocheted just like a normal 4-weight acrylic yarn. You know that you have no problems with crocheting. It didn't snag, it didn't split, it didn't do anything. It just crocheted like normal. I was surprised at that too. And then I'm like, well, I know you're never going to come out when I try to pull you out, but by gosh, it did all the way to the end. So I am pleasantly surprised. $12.99. Would I buy it again? Probably. On sale though. On sale. Like I said, I think I might buy some. They have the pretty rose color for a blanket. I think that would make a beautiful blanket. Like a cable stitch style blanket. I really think that it would do well. When I made those bobbles, I had no trouble at all going through, you know, 5 loops at a time, 6 loops or whatever, 5 loops at a time. No trouble. Like I said, I was surprised at that myself, but yeah. And then I'm even more surprised that it even came out without a hitch, man. Excellent. Good job, Bernat. You made a nice, interesting yarn. But remember, it's not going to be for everybody. But it's interesting to me. Interesting enough that I'll probably buy the pink and make something out of it. I will buy the pink again, probably while it's on sale, and I will make a tutorial on something out of it. So you caught my attention. I like it. I do. Isn't one I'm going to go out and buy all the time? No, you know, I'm not. It's going to take a special project, you know. But like I said, blanket, cardigan, I think it'd make a nice comfy sweatshirt. Definitely hand wash though, I think, and lay flat to dry, or at least wash it and lay it. I wouldn't put it in the dryer. If you're gonna put it in a washer, do it, you know, I did it on Cool or whatever. I think the dryer might be what made it kind of frizz up or shrink up on itself. Like I said, it wasn't too awful bad, but it just looked better and felt better before the washer and dryer. So definitely keep it out of the dryer, I think. So washer probably okay on cold, but you know, that's just my thoughts. I like it. I do. Good job, Bernat. Like I said, you made an interesting yarn. I thought it was gonna be horrible, but it wasn't at all. It wasn't. There was nothing about the experience that was horrible at all. I like it. So if you guys have tried this, please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. If you haven't, remember, I only recommend one ball because, you know, this isn't going to be for everybody. But what I'm going to do now is get on Michael's while they have 30% off and order some of that pink to make a blanket, because I think that would be awfully pretty. I'll see you guys on my next video. All right. Bye, guys.